A modern container ship can weigh well over 200,000 tons. When the wind howls and the ocean current rips, the forces pushing against that vessel are colossal, more than enough to snap heavy steel cables like thin thread. Yet, these floating cities are held perfectly in place by a single metal hook that looks completely tiny in comparison. But here is the thing. If you drop that anchor in the middle of the deep ocean, it would do absolutely nothing. And if you tried to pull it back up the wrong way, you could quite literally sink your own ship. How do captains know exactly how much line to drop? How do they possibly pull a 20-ton piece of steel out of the thick mud? And what happens when the water is simply too deep to touch? Today, we're uncovering the heavy engineering secrets of ship anchors. To understand how a ship stays put, you first have to respect the chain. On a massive cruise ship or cargo vessel, we aren't talking about ordinary metal links. A single link of a modern anchor chain can weigh over 300 pounds, which is heavier than a large kitchen refrigerator. The anchor itself might weigh 15 to 20 tons, but the steel chain attached to it is actually much heavier than the hook itself. And that massive weight is the secret weapon. When a captain prepares to anchor, they don't just drop the hook straight down. Instead, they purposefully lay out a massive line of this heavy chain completely flat along the ocean floor. In engineering, this creates what's called a catenary curve. The heavy chain sinks deep into the mud and acts like a giant shock-absorbing spring. When a massive wave pushes the ship backward, the vessel has to lift tons of heavy steel chain off the ocean bed before it can even begin to pull on the anchor. By the time the force finally reaches the anchor itself, the pull is completely horizontal. This horizontal tension drives the anchor's flukes deeper and deeper into the ground, rather than pulling it up and out. But what happens in the deep ocean? If a ship breaks down out in the middle of the Pacific, can it just drop anchor to stop moving? The short answer is absolutely not. Commercial ships generally cannot anchor in water deeper than about 300 feet. If you are in the middle of the sea where the water is miles deep, dropping the anchor would be a total catastrophe. The sheer vertical weight of hanging that much steel chain in the water would instantly snap the windlass, the heavy winch that controls it, or quite literally rip the entire bow right off the ship. So, in the deep ocean, ships never anchor. They simply drift, or, if they are advanced modern vessels, they use a computer system called dynamic positioning, utilizing high-powered thrusters to constantly swim against the current to maintain their exact position without ever touching the seafloor. But when they are in shallow waters, how does the crew know exactly how much chain has rolled out? It's not like they can stick their heads underwater to count. It is all tracked through a centuries-old measurement system called the shackle, or the shot. A standard section of anchor chain is exactly 90 feet long. These individual sections are connected together by a special detachable link. They also wrap stainless steel wire around them so they can be identified in pitch-black darkness by touch alone. When the chain is flying out of the ship, an officer stands on the bow, counts the flashes of color, and radios the captain. 3 shackles in the water. That tells the bridge exactly how much weight is sitting on the ocean floor. Finally, the most difficult part of the journey, leaving. Remember, a 20-ton anchor buried deep in the seabed creates a massive, tight suction seal. You can't just winch it straight up. The electric motors would instantly burn out trying to fight the ocean floor. To get the anchor back, the ship actually drives forward slowly, moving directly over the exact spot where the anchor is buried. This completely changes the physics. The chain goes perfectly vertical, pulling straight up on the anchor's spine. This vertical force effortlessly breaks the suction seal, a moment sailors call breaking out. As the anchor rises, it is usually caked in tons of foul, sticky mud. Before it can enter the ship, high-pressure water jets inside the hull blast the mud away, keeping the chain locker clean. Once the anchor is locked tight against the hull, the ship is finally free to sail. From the massive weight of the links to the color-coded paint, anchoring is a brilliant mix of brute force and precise math. If this deep dive into the ocean changed how you look at ships, hit that like button and share it with a friend. And make sure to subscribe for more surprising stories hidden in plain sight. Thanks for watching.